5 videos. That's all it took for this channel to gain over 200,000 subscribers in just 1 month. If you take a closer look at the channel, you'll notice they're doing something most channels are failing at, which is successfully combining both long and short-form content. The channel only posted 2 long-form videos, but both have already pulled in hundreds of thousands of views. Meanwhile, their short-form content is just as impressive, racking up millions of views. Even their most recent short is still going strong with over 200,000 views and climbing. All this from a channel that posted their first video just a month ago. If you're wondering what this channel is doing, they're simply taking complex economic and financial topics and explaining them through fun, straightforward, and whimsical analogies, usually involving monkeys, bananas with simple graphics like these. But somehow, the videos are so engaging that viewers can't get enough, leading to the jaw-dropping numbers the channel is pulling in at record speed. The best part about this whole niche is that the videos aren't difficult to make, especially once you get the hang of it. So if you're looking for a trending niche that works for both long and short form, then this niche is the one for you. And don't worry if you don't know how to create these kinds of videos. I'm going to break down the entire process. I'll show you everything from coming up with topics to creating engaging scripts the same way this channel creates theirs. Then we'll generate voiceovers using AI and go over how to get and modify the images that you'll need for this style of video. Finally, we'll put everything together using CapCut or any preferred video editor. But I know some people will claim the niche isn't monetizable, so you can check monetization yourself with a tool like NextLev, or simply install YouTube Monetization Checker from the Chrome store. Refresh the channel page and hit this extension icon, then select Check this channel and you'll know whether the channel is monetized or not. As you can see, this channel is fully monetized. To make it easier for you to create this style of content, I've created a Google Doc with every single prompt as well as a folder that contains every resource file that you'll need to get started. You can find the Google Doc in the prompts channel of my Discord server, while the resource files will be available in the files channel, both under the name Primate Economics. I'll be leaving the link to the Discord server in the description of this video. Don't worry, you don't need to pay anything to access the Discord server. All I ask is that you hit the like button if you find this video helpful, and feel free to drop any questions in the comments. I try my best to respond to everyone. Oh, and if you're worried about not knowing how to draw, here's some good news. You don't need to. As you'll see in this video, I don't know how to draw either, but I still managed to create this demo using the exact same strategy I'm about to show you.
What is insurance? Monkey has plenty banana, but monkey worried what if banana stolen or smashed? Monkey scared to lose banana, so monkey thinking monkey finds banana guard. Banana guard says, give me 1 small banana now. If something bad happens, I give you back plenty banana later. Monkey likes this, so monkey feels safe. This is insurance. Monkey gives tiny banana every month, and banana guard collects from many monkeys. Some monkeys lose bananas, but some don't. Banana guard uses shared bananas to help unlucky monkeys. Health insurance. Monkey gets sick, so needs doctor. Doctor wants monkey to pay plenty leaves, but monkey don't have.
The first step is coming up with video topics. To get ideas, you can start by checking out the kind of topics this channel is creating. But to make things even easier, I've put together a prompt that simplifies the whole process. Just head over to the Google Doc I mentioned and look for this heading. Copy the full prompt, then paste it into your favorite text generator. Which one you use is totally up to you. You can go with DeepSeek, Qwen, or ChatGPT. For this demo, I'll be using ChatGPT. Once you've opened ChatGPT, go ahead and paste the prompt. You don't need to make a lot of changes to the prompt. The only necessary change here is to specify the number of topics that you want. You'll need to do this in 2 places. First is this one. So remove the placeholder and replace it with however many topics you want the AI to generate. I'll go with 20. Then scroll to the bottom and you'll find the second placeholder. Replace it as well with the same number and hit enter. Wait a few seconds for ChatGPT to do its magic. And as you can see, the AI has generated some good topics that can be used for the video. You can go through and choose which one you want to use or simply hit regenerate for a new batch of topics. Now that you have your topic, the next step is to generate the script. I've created a handy prompt for this part as well. So open the Google Doc again and look for this prompt. Copy everything under the heading and paste it inside ChatGPT. Now, something important that you need to keep in mind is the word count for these videos. The prompt is structured to produce scripts with similar word count as the channel we're modeling. So if you want something longer or shorter, you need to modify the range here, then scroll down and repeat the same thing here as well. Once that's done, scroll back to the top and replace this placeholder with the topic you selected. You don't need to type the full title. Instead of something like Insurance Explained with Bananas, simply add Insurance. The prompt is already trained to generate scripts with the second part of the title in mind. One other thing you should keep in mind is that the channel we're modeling uses monkeys and bananas for their narration. That's how they've branded their channel. So the AI is going to replicate this structure, but you can modify it if you want to brand your channel with something different. Hit enter and wait for the script to be generated. The script is done and uses the same fragmented style of narration as the channel we're modeling. But there's a bit of an issue here. Most of these sentences are fragmented, which is what we want, but they're also very short. The truth is that the AI doesn't do a good job combining some of these fragmented sentences into longer ones. I spent days trying to make sure it does exactly what I wanted so there wouldn't be the need to make changes to the script before using it. However, this was the best I could get. So my recommendation is to read through the script and just combine a few of the sentences where necessary to make them flow better as a narration. Just make sure it still retains the same fragmented narration style. Once you're done with the necessary changes, it's time to move on to creating the voiceover narration. I recommend using 11 Labs for the voiceover if you've got a budget, but if you want a free alternative, I recommend Clipchamp mostly because of the quality of their voices. For this demonstration, I'm going to be using 11 Labs. The first thing you need to do is to find a voice character. So head over to their voice library and browse through the available voices till you find whichever voice you prefer. To make things easier, you can use the filters. Just make sure you select your preferred language, in this case English. Choose an American accent, set the gender to male or female depending on your preference, and select the age range for the voice you want to use. I'll go for a young voice. Listen to a few samples until you find one that works for you and choose that. Now paste the narration and make any necessary formatting. If you want a slight pause after a particular word, like in this case, add 3 dots. For parts of the script where you need to specify a heading, make sure the words are in caps to put some emphasis. This includes subheadings like the types of that particular topic. Once everything looks good, go ahead and generate your script. If the results don't sound good enough, you can make changes to the settings till you find what you like. Now that the voiceover is done, it's time to create the images for the narration. Since not everyone has the necessary drawing skills, I'll be showing you a few tricks to get this sorted. The channel we're modeling uses monkeys and bananas for their stories, so it's a good idea to have a few images like that. You can use AI to generate them, but it won't be able to replicate the simple drawing style this channel uses. No need to worry though, as I've got you covered. Go to the resource folder I mentioned earlier and you'll see a bunch of these image resources. You're going to be using these, so I'm going to show you how to make any necessary changes to them. It doesn't need to be anything special, so I'll carry you through exactly what you'll be changing most of the time. Make sure you have an image editing tool like Photoshop, Canva, or even GIMP. If you want an easily accessible option, Photopea is also great. I'll be using that one, so grab the image of the monkey from the resource folder and drop it inside Photopea. I'm going to show you how to change the expression of the monkey. This is quite simple. The first thing you need to do is select this brush tool and increase the size to something like this. Now, you need to pick the color for that part of the monkey's face, so click here and use the color picker to select the color. Then hit OK and proceed with cleaning the black line by just clicking and dragging. Next, you need to draw the lips in a different shape, like smiling. So change the size of the brush to match the original size of its lips, and make sure the color is set to black. Click and draw a small curve, and that's it. Simple as that. The drawing doesn't need to be perfect or overly complicated. You can repeat the same thing if you want to move the eyes. One other thing you need to know is how to add some kind of clothing to the character. So let's try making it look like a burglar. You can start with whichever part of the character you want, but I'll start with the belt. So with the brush tool selected and the color still black, I'll draw these lines, making sure it looks something like a belt. Then I'll move on to the legs. Draw a line here to just separate the foot from the rest of the leg. Once that's done, make sure you choose the color that you want for the pants. In this case, I'll go with something like this. Then select the paint bucket and click inside to color. I want a different color for the belt, so I'll choose this color, and with the paint bucket still selected, click inside the belt to color it. In case you make a mistake, you can use Ctrl+Z to undo, so feel free to play around with this. Next step is to make sure the upper part of the monkey looks like it's wearing some kind of striped shirt. So I'll quickly change the color back to black and draw these lines to separate the rest of the body from the hand. You also need to separate the head from the body, so draw a line from here to connect this line. Draw another line from here to look like a shirt collar. Use the color picker to choose the same color as the belt, and use the paint bucket to color it. Now for the stripe, use the color picker to select the same color as the pants. Then with the brush tool selected, draw these striped lines like these. Try to be creative and as genuine with this as you want. Once that's done, simply select the paint bucket, don't change the color. Just click inside the lines to color them. From there, you can change the color to what you prefer. I like this one, so I'll choose that and click inside these areas to fill them up as well. To make it more convincing, you can add something like a masquerade mask. This is also quite simple. Make sure the black color is selected and then choose the brush. Go to the face and draw something like this. Like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect, so feel free to be creative. Once that's done, select the paint bucket and use it to fill the mask. Don't worry about the eye. Simply increase the brush to the size you want for the eye and change the color to white. Then click inside the mask to create the eyes. Simple as that. This looks alright and gets the point across, but in case you want to change the colors, simply choose your preferred color and select the paint bucket. Click inside where you want the color to change, and as you can see, the color is different now. Once the image looks alright, you need to export it as a PNG. This is very important, so make sure you don't select JPEG as that would add a background to the image. So you need to make sure each of these files are exported as PNG. Next, I'll quickly repeat this process to create this image of the security guard. First, I'll use the brush tool to draw the foot, as well as the belt lines and holster. Grab the paint bucket and color the belt. I want something flashy for the belt buckle, so I'll go with yellow. Choose whichever color you want for the pants and move on to the shirt. It needs to be official, so I'll draw a color like this and maybe add a tie, a couple of badges, and maybe these things on the shoulders. No idea what they're called, but anything to help get the point across works. Use the paint bucket to color them like this. The security uniform is already looking good, but I think adding a hat will help convey the information a lot better. So let's draw that. First, let's decrease the size of the character a bit by selecting the Move tool. Then click and drag these points to decrease the size. Instead of drawing the hat on the same layer, it's safer to do this on a different layer. That way, any mistakes you make do not affect the image of our character. So hit this button to create the new layer and hide the original layer with the monkey. Change the color to black and select the Brush tool. Then use it to draw something that resembles a police hat. What I typically like to do is open an image of a police hat on Google and try creating something similar or close enough. It doesn't need to be perfect, as you can see from this demonstration. Once you're done, use the paint bucket to color it and maybe draw a golden emblem. To make things simpler, you can draw that on a new layer as well and use the Move tool to place it here. Now you can unhide the monkey and with the two new layers selected, move and position them here. Feel free to scale them to fit the character perfectly and then export it as a PNG file. One important thing we need to do is to make sure we create an image of the monkey with an arm raised. For that, select this lasso tool, make sure you click and drag this shape around the arm that you want to raise. Then press Ctrl+X to cut it and Ctrl+V to paste. As you can see, it's been pasted on a new layer, which makes it easier for us to move it. Hide the arm layer and select the original layer of the character. Then, with the brush tool selected, draw a line to connect these two. Change the color to that of the uniform and use the paint bucket to fill in this empty part. In case there's a bit of whitish color left, you can use the brush tool to color that. Next, unhide the arm layer and hide the character's layer. Use the eraser to clean any color outside the arm. Once that's done, select the Move tool, unhide the character, and select the arm layer again. Now you can use the Move tool to rotate and position the arm like this. The best part about doing all of this is that you get to have a number of these resources that you can use for other videos. So the more videos you make, the easier it becomes for you to create these videos. In case you need to write something, use the brush tool. Don't worry about the text not looking clean. This works perfectly. Once you're done with the images, it's time to move on to editing the video. You can use your preferred video editor, but CapCut or even Canva work perfectly for this style of video. For this demonstration, let's go with CapCut. So open it and import your voiceover narration, as well as the image files. Add the voiceover to the timeline and go through the narration to remove any long pauses. Don't forget to keep playing it to ensure that you're removing just enough for the narration to still flow normally. If you're using a video editor like Premiere Pro, you can simplify this with just a few clicks. But as far as I know, my current version of CapCut doesn't have that feature, so it has to be done manually. Once you're done with that, the next step is to add a white background. You can go to Stock Material, Background, and grab this white background. This works perfectly, but the only issue is that you can't extend it since it's actually a video clip, so you need to keep duplicating it for the entire duration of your video, which can be inconvenient. The best option is to create your own white background with Photoshop or Photopea. I'll leave one in the resource folder as well, so feel free to grab that one and add it to the timeline. Then go ahead and extend it to fit the full duration of the video. Now for narrations that start with something like, "What is insurance?" or question about the general topic of the video, you can either choose to create that with text or write it using the paintbrush in Photopea. Just make sure it's on a transparent background and drop it inside the timeline. The writing doesn't need to be perfect, as you can see from what I have here. Depending on how large you want it to be on screen, you can either scale it down or up and then trim it according to the narration. The channel we're modeling uses these shapes, so I'll add them to the timeline. Scale it down and move it here. Add the second one and scale it down as well. Make sure you position it directly over the first one, then put this line at the beginning and move forward about 6 frames using the forward arrow key. Decrease the duration of the clip and move the one at the top down and crop it after 6 seconds as well. Next, select both and duplicate them. Move forward and duplicate again till you've covered the full duration of the text layer below. This is what it looks like. As you can see, it looks like it's being animated, which is pretty cool. I've made 4 of these images available, so you can use just 2 or as many of them as you want. Repeat this process 3 more times, placing the images at the other sides of the text. Once that's done, check out how the image is looking now. It looks alright, so let's move on to the next part. This is based on the flow of the story, but I'm going to bring in the monkey at this point, scale and position it here. Move forward to the point where the bananas should show and split the image layer. Then scale it down and move it to the left, like this, making room for the bananas on the right. Bring the banana in, scale it down, rotate, and position it at the bottom like this. To create the illusion of multiple bananas, duplicate it a few times and arrange them to look like a bunch of them. Depending on how large you want the pile to be, you can keep duplicating them as many times as you want, not forgetting to scale and position them this way or however you want them to look. The layers can become too many, so I recommend selecting all the bananas and creating a compound clip. This looks a lot cleaner, and also you can move them around without worrying about missing any. Trim this as well, all according to the narration, and bring in an image of the monkey looking sad. To make sure it's the same size as the other one, use the same scale amount. To position it at the same place as the one at the bottom, stretch the bottom image that we just trimmed temporarily and position the top image over it. Once that looks all right, trim the bottom image back down again and drop the top one right here. Bring in the image of this monkey as well. Scale it down slightly and flip it like this and move these images around to create this scene where the monkey is getting robbed. To make this easier, I'm going to replace the image of the robber with one where it has a hand up. In case you experience this issue where you keep mistakenly moving the white background, simply lock that particular layer. Now move these images around and add a banana here as a weapon for the robber. Scale and position it to look like the monkey is holding it. Next, the monkey needs to smash the banana, so trim this banana image and bring in this weird drawing I made. Then move this layer up and split it. The first part where the monkey is holding the banana should be below, so move that down here and replace the second part with the image of the thief with its hands down. Move both the image of the monkey and the crushed banana around to look like it's been crushed. To save time, I'm going to be skipping parts of this arrangement, as it simply involves listening to the voiceover and arranging the clips. Feel free to add texts to emphasize or explain something like this, but try to keep that to a minimum. Like I said earlier, all of these files will be found in the resource folder, so you can simply grab them and start creating your stories with a few edits. Keep repeating this process. For places like this where multiple monkeys are needed, simply duplicate them as many times as necessary. The same applies to the bananas. For places where you need to add a title like this type of insurance, simply draw the text with Photopea like I did with the one at the beginning and import it. Feel free to copy these images and paste them over the text to give it the same effect as well. Keep repeating this till you're done with the rest of the narration. The next step is to add a few sound effects. It doesn't need to be anything fancy, and I recommend keeping it at a minimum. In this case, I'll only be using one for the banana getting crashed. So head over to Audio, Sound Effects, and search for a crushing or squishing sound. If you don't find what you want, you can look through Pixabay. Once you find what you want, drop it where you want the sound and trim it appropriately. If the sound is too high, don't forget to decrease it. Now normally this is where you need to generate captions, but that isn't necessary for this style of video, so don't bother. The same applies to background music. The channel we're modeling doesn't include background music in their videos, so we won't either. But if you'd like to add one, simply grab something from your preferred royalty-free background music library. I recommend YouTube's audio library as it's completely free. You also don't need to add a filter, so you can simply export the video at either 1080p, 2 or 4K resolution. Now if you found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you and see you in the next one.